Welcome back. South Korea's defense ministry says the DPRK has launched the 2 unidentified projectiles off its eastern coast. It comes just after the one-year anniversary of the failed Hanoi summit between DPRK leader Kim Jong Un and U.S. President Donald Trump. South Korea is now monitoring for additional launches. Kim Jong Un oversaw military drills last Friday, a rare public outing amid efforts to prevent the COVID-19 outbreak in this part of the world. And joining us through Skype, we have Mr. Jiao Tong. He is a senior fellow at the Carnegie Tsinghua Center for Global Policy. He's now based in Beijing. Mr. Jiao, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Tell me more about your reaction to the 2 projectiles being sent by DPRK today, Monday, toward the water between the North and also Japan.
Looks like the 2 projectiles flew for a range of about 240 kilometers, with the highest point being about 35 kilometers. That looks like a short-range ballistic missile, maybe the KN-24 that North Korea tested last year, or it could also be a KN-23, which is a longer, slightly longer range missile, but North Korea could use a depressed trajectory to make the actual range shorter. Another possibility is one of the North Koreans' multiple launch rocket systems that use large caliber rocket artillery to shoot the projectiles. Either way, this test looks like a continuation of the North Korean military drill on Friday. At that time, North Korea conducted a massive artillery fire drill, and this could be an effort to send a signal that North Korea should not be forgotten at a time when international leaders are paying their attention elsewhere.
So you're suggesting, Mr. Zhao, this is more symbolic than anything else. Is that what you're trying to say?
It's a training operation they can conduct at any time. So they pick this time to do this means there must be some political implication behind it.
Even in Chinese traditional saying, there's something called killing several birds with one stone. So we're seeing several things going on all at the same time. For example, 1 year since the last time the no-result negotiation between President Trump and Chairman Kim in Vietnam. Also, we see the postponing of the joint military drill between South Korea and the U.S., and at the same time, 2 elections going on later. One is Super Tuesday for U.S. election. The other is parliamentary election for South Korea. So a lot of political things going on all at the same time. And now this gesture coming from DPRK.
Right after the failed summit in Hanoi last year, North Korea has been putting more pressure on the United States. And after multiple rocket launches throughout last year, at the end of last year, North Korea promised to launch a new strategic weapon and to conduct more military provocations. I think that threat was not implemented immediately because of maybe 2 reasons. One is the American assassination of the Iranian General Soleimani that makes the North Korean leader to think twice about conducting any major provocations, and second is maybe related to the outbreak of the coronavirus. But now North Korea has time, and it thinks maybe that this is the right time, given the political events happening in the United States and South Korea. North Korea needs to resume some military provocations gradually to use this coercive pressure to get the necessary concession it expects from the United States and South Korea.
Mr. Zhao, of course, in Northeast Asia, if you look at the countries, South Korea, Japan, China have all been struggling with the fight against COVID-19. From KCTV, for example, that's a TV station from DPRK, suggesting from the Prime Minister to, common people are fighting with revolutionary efforts against the spread of COVID-19. How much do we know, Mr. Zhao, about the preparedness level of it and also the sophistication of medical supply the DPRK has right now?
Well, there is not much official information from North Korea. There were reports by media that thousands of people are being quarantined in some provinces in North Korea. And given the fact that North Korea is basically in between China and South Korea, where the outbreak of the coronavirus is serious, it is hard for North Korea to escape this epidemic. But I think maybe that's why North Korea is stepping up military pressure at this time, because in addition to the economic sanctions on North Korea, this outbreak of coronavirus might deal another blow to North Korea's economy. And so North Korea has a greater urgency to get rid of the external economic sanctions, and maybe that's related to its recent missile tests. But in terms of humanitarian assistance from outside world to North Korea, last year when U.S. and North Korea were negotiating potential deals, as a goodwill gesture, the United States has allowed international humanitarian assistance to go into North Korea. So the multilateral sanctions at this moment should not be a major obstacle for North Korea to receive foreign aid, but it could be a good opportunity for South Korea and the United States to broaden their humanitarian support to break the current diplomatic impasse over the denuclearization negotiation.
Mr. Zhao, of course, we have heard earlier, almost in a joking way, by the U.S. President offering the U.S. help if DPRK needs in terms of support against COVID-19. But now we also see Washington is struggling itself. What shall we see if any help DPRK could have from the international community if the worst-case scenario happened?
Well, I think the sanction committee of the United Nations could provide further exemptions of items that can be exported into North Korea. So far, any metal products, as far as I know, are prohibited from going into North Korea, and that might constrain the international community's ability to help North Korea deal with the coronavirus to some extent. So the U.S. can play a role in asking the UN Sanction Committee to give North Korea more flexibility in importing the necessary medical products that contain medical items, for example, metal items that were previously prohibited. That's one good gesture the United States can convey to North Korea.
On the other hand, Mr. Zhao, we have seen new development as a result of the fight against COVID-19. All the three other Northeast Asian countries are struggling with it, but at the same time, there's a possibility there could be more cooperation among the three nations, South Korea, Japan, and China. Meanwhile, Chinese president was at least regionally scheduling to visit Japan in spring. So a lot of things are going on in Northeast Asia. How would this shall I say, synergy, interactions, in a way, impact on the potential of the issue of Korean Peninsula?
The regional countries can work more closely together to share information, especially given the close ties between Beijing and Pyongyang. I think North Korea can share more information with China, who has more experience in dealing with the coronavirus. And then that effort can be broadened to include South Korea, Japan, and other regional players. Given the epidemic nature of this disease, all these regional countries need to work together in a more institutionalized manner to deal with it. And hopefully this increased medical staff exchange, joint effort to work on possible medicine could open another door to inject a new energy into the diplomatic effort to resolve North Korea's nuclear problem.
Zhao Tong, Senior Fellow at the Carnegie Tsinghua Center for Global Policy. Thank you so much, Mr. Zhao. Be healthy. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.